We've got some breaking news regarding the Las Vegas Raiders. According to Vincent Bonsignore, it's possible that the team might be looking to trade Davante Adams. It appears the Raiders have started reaching out to other teams, and this isn't just one of those random rumors from places like PFF or Pro Football Talk. This information comes from a reliable Raiders insider, Vincent Bonsignore, who only reports details that he's been authorized to share. For those who have followed the Raiders closely, you'll know that Vincent is a trusted source when it comes to inside information. Whenever the Raiders want to release specific details, Vincent is usually their go-to guy. Just recently, he tweeted that a source with knowledge of the situation confirmed that the Raiders are becoming more open to the idea of trading Davante Adams. The source added that the club has started contacting teams to gauge their interest in the veteran wide receiver. This is huge news. It's not just a baseless rumor, it's the first solid piece of information we're hearing about a potential trade. Over the past few days, there have been several hints that something might be happening. For instance, yesterday, we saw a tweet liked by Antonio Pierce, which raised some eyebrows. The tweet came from Sports Illustrated, quoting a report by Michael Fabiano, who speculated that Adams might have already played his last game as a Raider. Antonio Pierce liking the tweet made everyone think, could this be more than just speculation? You might wonder why a coach liking a tweet would matter. Normally, it wouldn't. But with the rumors flying around and the timing of it all, it's hard to ignore. When Adams was asked about it, his response was quite telling. He said he hadn't spoken to Pierce since the tweet and didn't really know what was going on. Adams mentioned that he's aware of the speculation, but prefers to keep his head down and focus on what he can control. Of course, people might dismiss this as just hearsay, but it's worth noting that last week, Adams pulled a hamstring out of nowhere, which seemed a bit odd. He had been fine up until the Thursday practice, and then suddenly, he's injured? There's also talk about Jack Jones being benched, and Adams not looking his best during blocking drills or when he dropped a few passes. Some believe that Pierce may have called Adams out, and that Adams didn't take it well. There's definitely a lot of smoke here. With Pierce liking that tweet, Adams giving a vague response, and now a report from Vincent Bonsignore, it's hard to ignore the possibility. I know not everyone will believe this, but given Vincent's track record, I think there's a real chance we could see Adams traded within the next couple of days. I really believe there's a strong chance that this trade could happen. Vincent Bonsignore wouldn't put this information out if there wasn't some truth to it. Honestly, I'm not too concerned about Antonio Pierce liking a tweet or what Davante Adams says, but when Vincent shares something, it usually means there's something serious going on. Just a couple of days ago, Adam Schefter reported on the Pat McAfee show that the Raiders turned down multiple trade offers for Davante Adams before the season started. That was a while back, and the situation has changed since then. At the beginning of the season, the Raiders might have thought they could make a solid push. But now it seems like they've come to terms with the fact that the team isn't performing well enough to make the playoffs this year. Adams is undoubtedly a talented wide receiver, but the team might feel they can still succeed without him. With promising players like Brock Bowers, Trey Tucker, and Jacoby Myers, the Raiders' offense could still thrive. Trading Adams could give them the opportunity to get valuable assets in return. Also, let's not forget that Adams was brought in by the previous management, not the current regime. General Manager Dave Ziegler and head coach Antonio Pierce might feel like it's time to move on. Adams was a win-now piece, but the Raiders might not be in that position at the moment, especially given some key injuries, like those to Max Crosby and Colton Miller. Another factor to consider is Adams's contract. His cap hit next season is a massive $44 million, which is not ideal for the Raiders. The team could release him after this year and take a $15 million dead cap hit, but keeping him on the roster would have a significant financial impact. Restructuring his contract won't help much either. It would only push more dead money into the future. Adams is 32 years old, and while he's still a great player, the Raiders need to think long-term. Realistically, they won't get what they gave up for him, a first and a second-round pick, because his contract would be voided if he's traded. Any team trading for Adams would essentially be getting him for just 1 year before he becomes a free agent. That makes it unlikely the Raiders will get a first-round pick in return. It's possible they could get a second or third-round pick, especially if teams like the Jets or 49ers show serious interest. If a few teams enter the bidding, the Raiders might get lucky. But I don't think they'll get the high return some fans are hoping for. The age factor and his expiring contract play a big role in this, so we'll have to wait and see what unfolds. We've seen similar situations before where star wide receivers didn't get traded for much, Remember when Julio Jones got traded? Or when DeAndre Hopkins was moved a couple of years ago? Even A.J. Brown, who was in his prime, was traded for just one first-round pick, and that was only the 16th overall. Considering all that, it's not surprising if the Raiders decide to move on from Davante Adams. I believe the Raiders should consider trading Adams if he truly doesn't want to stay. I'm fine with Adams being part of the team long term, but with the recent reports from Vincent Bonsignore, Antonio Pierce liking a post, and Adams himself admitting he hasn't heard from Pierce, it seems like things are not in a good place right now. It's a tough spot for the Raiders, but I think the team can still find success even without Adams. In fact, the offense might even perform better without him. It sounds odd, but when Adams isn't on the field, the team tends to spread the ball more. We've got several talented players: Tyreek McAllister, Brock Bowers, Trey Tucker, Jacoby Myers, Michael Mayer, Zamir White, and Alexander Madison, who can make plays. But when Adams is out there, he ends up getting a huge chunk of the targets, which can limit the offense's creativity. Don't get me wrong, having a star receiver like Adams is great, but it can also put pressure on the quarterback to force feed him the ball. Some people think having a featured receiver is essential, but look at teams like the Bills with Josh Allen or the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. They've found success without focusing solely on one wide receiver. I think the Raiders could build their offense around players like Brock Bowers instead. I'm not saying the Raiders must trade Adams, but if the reports are true and the Raiders are looking to move on, I'm okay with it. If Adams isn't fully committed to staying, then it makes sense to let him go and chase a championship elsewhere, somewhere he can continue to get paid and play at a high level. He could be a good fit for the Jets, or even the Bills, though I'd never trade him to the Chiefs. I don't care if Kansas City offers 2 first-round picks. No way we're trading him to our rivals. But the 49ers, Rams, or Seahawks could all be options. There's definitely interest out there. It's just a matter of whether the Raiders can actually pull the trigger. Let me know your thoughts on this crazy report. I usually don't make videos based on rumors, but this one feels more real, especially since it's coming from Vincent Bonsignore. Comment below, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you all in the next video.